Poetry, a form of expression in complex, simplistic language which portrays one emotion, for the vultures of readers to tear apart line by line. There's more to poetry than just examining it. Poetry is better known to be the journey of the sea animal living on land wanting to fly in the air, or a search of syllables to shoot at the barriers of the unknown and the unknowable. Quotes by Carl Sandburg. To me, this essentially outlines my first statement, as poetry isn't just someone rhyming words, but rather a story of their journey through life or their own way of challenging societal constructs, whether it may be past, present, or future. And the most brilliant part of it all is that their views, that pen to paper, could resonate with you in a completely different way than they originally intended. If you were to ask me if I had this point of view 3 months ago, I most likely would have laughed at you. As my prior relations with poetry were ones that left a bitter taste, as I never had the opportunity to forge my own beliefs, it was merely someone telling me how someone felt as if they were there. That is not poetry, as there's no good or bad poem, nor wrong or right answer. Fortunately, near the end of my school career, I found 3 poems that changed my point of view entirely. Spring and Fall by Gerard Hopkins. My first encounter with this poem raised eyebrows because at first glance, it is a sea of complex words, but as I dove deeper, I started to reminisce about my childhood and the way that I used to view the world in comparison to now. As the poem talks about a little girl named Margaret, who used to see the world as her beautiful home, but she now has grown up and could care less due to the fact that she now sees it as a cold, bitter place that killed her younger versions of her dreams. That was the first time I had ever formed a connection with a poem. The second poem was I Look at the World by Langston Hughes, a powerful poem about segregation and the cruel, unjust treatment towards African Americans that shot at barriers that were restricting them from a better life. He encouraged others through his writing and inspired me in some sort of way, not to just sit around and complain, but to take action for what is important to me. The last poem is a song called Vincent by Don McLean. In my opinion, the song portrays what poetry really is, as Don McLean sings about Vincent van Gogh, a brilliant painter who put everything on the line for love. Although most people don't view him this way, people mock him and his emotions, and they called him clinically insane. A line from the song is, "They would not listen, they did not know how. Perhaps they'll listen now." This ultimately explains how he was just a misunderstood person who was judged by many for the things he did, and unfortunately this led to him passing by suicide. The final line of the song is, "They would not listen, they did not know how. Perhaps they never will." To me, this is a very powerful line, which links the quote by Carl Sandburg, as poetry is what you want it to be, not what someone else tells you it is. Poetry is not written for you or for me, yet we are fortunate enough that a poet is willing to share part of himself with us. Thank you for listening to my speech.